popping, y'all? It's Cartier Rob
and Andrew,
and today we have a doozy for you. To get to this point, a lot has happened, but before we get into the interview and everything before, I want to say thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. The shot is killing me right now. We've really
tequila.
Yes,
hell of a drug.
Ugh. We've really been growing because of you guys, and we really appreciate that. So we want to keep cranking out great content and having great interviews. But before we get started with the interview, I think we're going to introduce the master of the vinyl, over a decade plus on YouTube, a hometown hero. We got Matt Kessler on the podcast.
I've never been called a hometown hero. I like that. I'm going to run with
first
that.
time. Okay.
I'm going to say that I've been called a hometown hero, and it's going to be accurate. It's not going to be a lie.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll cut this out.
No, this is real. This is now
Very
my
real.
identity for
No.
a long time.
I'm saying we'll cut this conversation out so that way
Perfect.
it's smooth.
Love it.
We got to keep it.
Yeah.
We got to. Anywho.
That's
So,
Thank you guys for having me.
no, thank you so much for giving us and blessing us with your time. Now, before we get into the interview, we like to ease on in, and one of our first most important subjects that makes this segment and the show, we have this segment called "What Are You Playing No Games About?" It's easy. It's anything that's been going on in your day, positive, negative, and you just say, "What are you playing no games about?" Meaning, Andrew, could you give me an example?
could I pass it back?
Meaning, Matt, what are you playing no games about?
I play no games about people that willfully do not use their turn signal. No, it's not funny. Like, I genuinely think they should lose their right to vote.
Wow.
They are endangering everyone around them. They are not good citizens of the world. I think so lowly of people who refuse to use their turn signal. It is reckless for literally no reason.
Do you know what city you're in?
Yeah, and you know what? I lived in LA for 7 years, and I experienced it all 7 years. And then I moved here, and I was like, "This will be
No
different.
change?
This will be different. No change. No change."
Yeah.
They're just like, "We're fine. We're gonna make it. It'll be fine."
What's worse? I have family in LA. I've up Sacramento, all this stuff. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
Worse in terms of driving?
Yes.
LA, without a doubt.
Okay. Okay.
LA is one of Dante's Inferno circles of
Like-
hell when it comes to driving, for sure.
That makes sense.
My entire time in there is literally just made up of me in different outfits in my car, like angry while I'm just in traffic or
Yeah.
trying to find parking. Yeah.
Okay. To bring this all home, what I play no games about is this is probably gonna go over everyone's heads, but I apologize. I will say that now. I'm gonna play no games about winning my fantasy championships. Fuck you guys. You are all haters. They didn't want me to win, but I won. I'm super sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I was in the league playing against you, so fuck you.
Oh, it's okay.
I know literally nothing about sports.
It is okay. But
Same
just
here.
But just think,
That's why I was in the
I know
league.
this has happened to you before. Someone hating on you so hard and they wanted this outcome for you, and then the opposite outcome of what they really wanted for you was like, man, you're gonna not do well, and you just do well, and you get the opportunity to look them in the face and say, give me your money.
That last part maybe is very specific, but yeah, it's nice to defy the haters.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think we should become master interviewers again and be on our best behaviors. We have a hometown hero here. I think we gotta do what we need to do. So let's jump into this very first interview.
Yep.
This is the first interview
First interview
you've ever done?
ever done.
Yep.
Wow. You guys are doing great so far.
Okay, anywhu. So
You were talking about raw dogging earlier.
Yeah, we're just really just
I'll start
caution
thinking,
to the wind. It's a little windy in here, no?
I gotta
Breezy?
pay some people. Anywho,
It's better than usual. It's usually like 100 degrees in here.
Oh, it actually is kind of, it's
Shut-
pretty nice. It's pretty
Yeah.
nice.
anywho, who's Matt of Too Many Records at, wait a second.
Are you just reading your notes? Could you introduce yourself?
The tequila got me. I'm sorry. That's actually what is
what is this amateur hour?
There you go.
I'm embarrassed.
I'm also embarrassed.
Go for it.
Who am I?
Yeah.
My name is Matt.
Yeah.
I guess the best way to describe me is I'm a music fanatic. I can't play music, but I can talk it all day. About 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel talking about records because I was really big and still am really big into collecting vinyl. And that started to do pretty well and started to build a decent audience online. It eventually parlayed into me opening a record label. And then I've always wanted to own a record store. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. The pandemic happened and I was like, this is not... I can't go the rest of my life without just doing something crazy.
So you did the record label before doing the record store?
Yeah. So the label started in 2019. So I was still living in LA at the time.
Gotcha.
And that's more of a labor of love. It's kind of like, I don't really like, it's not like a big money maker. It's more like, oh, I have a friend whose album I really like, or there's an artist that's never had the record on vinyl and I kind of pitch them on, let me do it. And it'll be a one-time pressing. It'll be extremely high quality. It'll be beautiful, like the disc, the packaging, and I'll really treat it with the care it deserves. And because of that, I have I think it's 18 sold out releases on vinyl through the label since 2019.
Congrats.
So, thank you. Yeah.
That's tough.
It's awesome.
What was what got you into music? Like initially, what was the album that you listened to?
There's a couple different phases of that question to answer, right? So growing up, my dad played a lot of music in the house, but his scope, sorry, Dad, if you ever watch this, is kind of narrow. He likes what he likes. And he turned me into a lot of great stuff, but it is a very specific.
What is that?
I would say 60s and early 70s music.
Okay.
And, I'd say 50s, 60s. And so he loves doo-wop.
I was just about to ask.
And I also love doo-wop because of him. Actually, my friends in high school and I all, for some reason, loved doo-wop, which is, I guess, not normal for in 2004, a bunch of 15-year-olds to really like vibe with. Yeah. We went to a doo-wop convention in New Jersey. That's where I went to high school.
That's awesome.
And we were the youngest people by 40 years. Just these kids that were lost. So a lot of doo-wop. He loves Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel and Pink Floyd. And he turned me on to that stuff. And then in high school, I started developing my own music taste thanks to the glorious world of Napster and Kazaa, where I shout out to Kazaa, the sponsor of this podcast. Did you guys use Kazaa or LimeWire?
LimeWire.
We got him. Guys, get in here. We got him.
Correction, FrostWire.
Oh, FrostWire. Damn, that's some underground shit.
What?
Y'all never heard of FrostWire?
That's sketchy.
Yeah, LimeWire is sketchy, and FrostWire. Sounds like.
What is that?
That's just mainlining viruses into your computer. It's not even a subtle.
You have to download it off of LimeWire.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, this looks like a cool add-on.
Right.
When LimeWire got too hot, then FrostWire
got frosted off. Yeah, of course.
Gotcha.
I was able to just start downloading things and discovering things on my own. And my favorite band in high school was The Killers.
Okay.
Still love them. And then in college, I had a roommate. Also, still one of my best friends to this day. His name is Dylan. I've pressed 2 of his records. He's a musician on my label. They're amazing. Shout out to Dylan Campbell. Make more music, please.
Do it.
And he was busy getting his doctorate in psychology. Why does he make more music?
What a poser.
Yeah,
Mental
seriously.
health.
Ugh, come on, dude. Make music.
Who needs that?
But he introduced me to the wonderful world of indie music.
Okay.
So he opened my eyes and showed me Radiohead and of Montreal and Andrew Bird and things that were coming out around the mid to late 2000s, stuff that really transformed my taste into being oh, music can be more than just kind of I listened to more than what was on the radio, but I would say that's kind of what allowed me to really start going deep down rabbit holes and finding sites where you can be articles where it's read if you like this artist, you might like these artists, and it's oh, I'll check these out, and it's just 100 zip files on your computer with albums. You're just listening to them all, consuming, and it became an obsession.
Okay.
So my first question for you is, in all of this, when did that love for vinyl come in? So
I didn't grow up listening to records. My family didn't have a record player. which is kind of strange. A lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, what? Like, how'd you connect to it? And I think it was more so my love for collecting things. Like growing up, when I was very young, I collected turtles. Not like real turtles, but like
you knew my
I caught you on that.
Michelangelo.
Yeah, you know the I Love Turtles kid. Like that's like me without the makeup.
Okay.
Some days.
But
so I liked collecting turtles, and then I eventually started collecting. I think the next phase was like retro video games. Like I would collect like NES, Genesis, like all that stuff. I would try to build a collection of that. Then eventually I sold all that off, which was a huge mistake because all those are worth like a fortune now.
Worth so much right
a fortune.
Wait. When did you sell?
I want to talk about it. Probably like 2009. Like,
no.
Yeah, I had like
damn.
It was like right before the boom.
Yeah, right before everything exploded.
Yeah. You sold your Charizard card too, right?
Oh, I definitely had a holographic Charizard first edition. Maybe not the first edition, but like the first run.
Right.
I sold all my Pokemon cards way before the boom. Like the only thing I haven't screwed up on is vinyl, thankfully. But you know, the way I tell the story is that it was 2013, I think, 12 or 13. I was dating somebody in New York and I was in LA, and long distance sucked. So I was like, I need a new hobby. I need to get into something that like distracts me from how awful this distance is. And I was like, I'm kind of curious about records. I kind of want to know what the hype is, like why people like them. Because at that point, it wasn't back in force the way it is now. Yeah. But like,
it was definitely coming.
It was slowly coming. And I was like, why are people talking about vinyl? Like, we have MP3s. Like, no one listens to CDs anymore. Like, why do we care? Yeah. And I got my first turntable, and I started listening to records, and I was like, okay, I get it. It's the ritual of it. It's like the sound, it's different. It's not better. It's just different. And I went from like 5 records to 100 records in maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Jeez.
And I was like, this is gonna be a problem.
Do you remember what your first like album purchase was?
So my first album purchase was actually before I started collecting records, before I had a turntable. I was I was an actor for a while. Okay. And I did a short film that I wrote and starred in when I was living in New York before I moved to LA. And it was called Alligator because it was based off of my favorite album, which is still my favorite album, which is Alligator by The National.
Okay.
And in that movie, I bought a copy of that record to put on the wall in the back of a scene as like an Easter egg kind of thing. Right. And I don't have that copy anymore. I got lost in the shoot. But that was my first record I ever purchased. I remember going to the record store, and I think it was Bleecker Street Records in New York. Like it's not there anymore, but it was like an iconic store. I remember like thumbing through the vinyl and being like, this is cool, and finding it and being like, yes, they have it. Nice. Just like all the dopamine that I've learned to really intake over the years as a record collector. But my first record, I don't remember. I just remember that when I bought my turntable, it was a guy who had like a really nice Pioneer from the 70s with a matching receiver. And it was before the boom, so he sold them to me for like $40 a piece, and they were perfect condition. Now those would be like $500-$600 pieces of equipment easy per piece. But he had a bunch of records that he was just like, you can buy the records too, and he sold them to me like, I want to say it was like $1 a piece, and it was like Queen, Beatles, like a lot of essentials, Zeppelin, like a lot of like classic rock staples. So I had a lot of those to start with, and then I lived so close to Amoeba Hollywood that I started going there a lot, and it was kind of like game over. One of the best record stores ever to exist. You know.
Okay.
Do you have a question,
Andrew? Go.
No, actually, talk more about your acting.
So, I thought I was gonna be an actor for a long time. Yeah. When I acted a little bit throughout like my childhood, and then when I was in high school and college, I started getting like leads in the shows, and I got leads in all the shows in college, and I was like, oh, like I think I'm maybe decent at this. Like people are like, oh, you should try to do this as a career. And I loved doing it. I loved the stage, and I was like, I kind of don't want to do stage as like a career because that's very difficult. I know acting in general is difficult, but stage as a career is like impossible. Right. So I moved into New York City, and I was, grinding it out, doing pilots and short films and commercial auditions and everything. And booked enough small things where I was like, time to go to LA, baby. This is it. Big mistake. As I may have alluded to before, I do not have a lot of love for LA.
Yeah.
Could you tell? Hey, we're gonna go off a beaten path.
Yeah.
Tell us what's like living in LA, the LA life.
I have to. No, I will. So what I will, let me say the positives about LA first. Let me get it out of the way. There are positives. There have to be. No, the food's amazing. I'm a big food guy. Like, food is a big motivation in my life. When I travel, it's to go record shopping and eat food. That's basically it. So the food in LA is amazing. It's really cool that you are, an equidistant drive from the beach, the mountains. Like, you can go hiking. There's lots of different aspects of nature you can appreciate. For me, I'm not a huge nature guy. I love water, but I don't love hiking or camping. A lot of my friends loved camping, and I was
pull over off the street, look it off, off the sidewalk, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a river, but not a river I have to hike to. Like, let me park there and walk, and I'll be right there. That's what I want. That's the dream.
You're that friend.
I'm that friend. Yeah, that's why my friends would ask me to go camping. They're like, we know better. Why do I want to sleep with the spiders? They sometimes find their way into my house anyway.
That logic is foolproof.
Thank you. My friends told me a story once, and it's very brief. They were camping somewhere in Oregon, or maybe Washington, but somewhere in the PNW. And I guess it was like the summer, and there were all these flies everywhere that were just like constantly like surrounding them, like thick clouds of like these flying creatures. And they were like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, let's go to bed. So they go in their tent and they go to bed. They wake up the next day and they unzip their tent, and there are thousands of spiders that have made webs around them because they ate all of the flies, and they had covered the tent, and they had covered tree to tree. Their car was covered. And I was like, I would stay in the tent until I died. That would be the end of my life. I would not leave the tent. I would be like,
do you know, like the Tibetan monk that like poured gasoline on himself, lit himself on fire?
100%. Yeah. That's my that would be my Tibetan monk situation. I would be like, there's only one way out of this, and it's not to the car. It's
sounds like the movie The Mist.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but if it's anything like that, I'm not watching it.
That's actually a good movie.
Sounds great. Okay. So going back to LA.
Yeah.
I know that was a story. So were there any positives with the acting piece? Because I know what I'm hearing, there are some things that you don't like. But what'd you gain from just having that experience?
So friendships in LA were interesting because there was a handful of people that I really thought I connected with and I really, really bonded with, and I still consider them good friends, even though I don't live near them anymore. And ironically, most of them have moved out of LA as well. But I just feel like a lot of my time there was preoccupied with people that were very self-involved. The friendships were very surface level. It was very much like, what can you do for me? Like the stereotype of like looking over your shoulder while you're talking to them and be like, yeah. Like it just, that's real. That was like, it all felt very contrived. A lot of people that love to talk the talk and not walk the walk. Like they would be like, we got to get together. We should write a short together. And like, you never hear from them again. And you try to reach out.
That's gotta be
exhausting. Just this endless, like somersaulting through these like half-baked plans that never come to fruition.
Right.
The social dynamics of LA frustrated me a little bit. And that's why I stopped acting, is because I felt like it was less about the craft. In New York, it felt like it was like about doing the work. And in LA, it felt like it was about connections and doing the work socially.
Yeah.
And I could do that, but it wasn't what I wanted to do as like the main focus. I wanted to make stuff, and it just felt hard to put myself in the right space to be able to do that. So that's why I started the YouTube channel. I was like, okay, well, this isn't really acting, it's hosting, but it also scratches that creative itch of being able to create something for people to enjoy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I like that. Which kind of leads me to, when we talk about like vinyls, you talked about MP3s. What are people not understanding about the importance of having vinyls in the music culture?
I mean, there's so much. I mean, just the history of a record is cool. Like if you have a used record, like from the 70s, and you're holding it, how many different houses has this lived in? Like how many people have listened to it? What was their mind state? Was it a crazy party? Was it someone who was like super depressed listening to this? Like you're a ghost guy. Imagine the ghosts that all these records have of their past, you know?
I believe there's some ghosts who were playing some tunes.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly, like the Hatbox Ghosts from the Haunted Mansion. Yeah.
I was wondering what the reference was there.
No, I don't think that was even. I don't think there's any
That's not
connective
even
tissue
what we're
there.
doing?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
But I mean, also records for me, like a lot of people are like, it sounds better. It sounds better. I'm like, sometimes, like it's not because it's a record. It doesn't mean it sounds better. There's plenty of records these days that are digitally made and they just are big CDs. They just sound the same as it would if you streamed it. It's less about the sound for me, more about the ritual and the act of actually sitting down and listening with intention to a record.
Yes.
Because we have, as a society, lost the plot on albums. Like, on one side, you have like, you know, artists that you can shuffle their album and it doesn't matter if like you hear it in any order. It's just, it is what it is, or there's only like one or two songs that people like. So they just like save those and the album as a whole is lost. You get artists like Drake that put out like 40 song albums where there's like 3 good songs just to like, and it's like, what? Like you're not even censoring yourself. Like, you know, it's
Just
like you gotta
shit at the
just
wall.
literally like what's going to be the single, what's going to get views.
Shots fired.
Huge
Pun intended. Pun intended. Views. Get it?
First and foremost, we're not about to do this. I am
We'll talk
Jermaine,
Drake.
Aubrey, Dunkworth. So those are my big 3. I grew up spoiled. All 3 of them came out at the same time. I love them all.
Yeah.
That's all. Stop that.
I love some Drake.
We're honest. We're honest.
So Far Gone was my intro to Drake. I mean, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. I still bang that song. It's incredible. Take Care is a genius record.
I know you've been hurt.
No comment. Nothing Was the Same. Amazing record. See, I skipped Thank Me Later for a reason. But honestly, like one of my hot takes is that like there's a couple good songs, and if you're reading this and views, but like those are not great projects front to back like his stuff before. And after that is just all nonsense to me. It's like there's like 1 or 2 tracks for every project, and everything else is just like Drake being Drake. How'd we get here?
I'm not gonna lie. I think the tequila shot got us here. I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
How we storyboarded this interview.
It wasn't a Drake discography ranking. You didn't want to get there.
Go through that.
Throw the plans out the window.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
But no. Go ahead.
So, what'd you hate about LA?
What do I hate?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, besides the social dynamics, it was just it is so sprawling. LA is not a community. New York City is a community. It is people that like there's chaos, but there are people that look after each other. There are people that are prideful to live in New York, and there's like a real sense of history, community, and love amongst the chaos. LA is a series of little hubs that take forever to get between. And there's no sense of like, there's history, of course, in LA. Like, obviously, there's a lot of historical areas and, you know, there's a lot of, it is a melting pot in the sense there's a lot of beautiful people from all walks of life that live in LA. Yeah. But I'm talking strictly speaking, like, it doesn't have the same sense of overarching community that other major cities, I feel like, especially New York, have. And I missed that. I missed that sense of community when I was there. And it was a pain in the ass. If you had a friend in another part of town, like if I lived in Burbank and my friend lived in Santa Monica, and I wanted to see him, I would never see him because it would take 55 minutes without traffic to get. You know, it's like, and it's just like you might as well live in another state. Like,
he's talking that real. Getting stuck on that freeway is no freaking joke.
You've been down that road, pun intended, and also not legitimately. You've been down that road.
Yeah.
Okay. It's awful.
You're like, hey, I'll get you after rush hour.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah. That's quiet times.
So what brought you up here, and then what are your thoughts on like just the culture and vibe up here compared to like LA and compared to New York?
So I was living in LA for 7 years, and in 2019 I decided I'm done. Like I'm ready to call it. Like I'm ready to move back to New York because I feel like that's where I was really happy, and I think a different part of my life. I mean, I was early 20s, and then I was early 30s. So I guess the math wrong? Late 20s maybe. Anyway, it was a long period of time. English major, math is not my strong suit. And I was like, I'm ready to go back to New York. So I go back to New York the summer of 2019. And then I don't know if you read about in the news what happened in 2020.
Vaguely.
Yeah, there was like, did you see it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it was crazy.
Squid Games came out.
The Squid Games release came out and it was wild. And also Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
The Hunger Games.
Also, bread making was way up.
Just
way up.
Through the roof.
Through the roof.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. I didn't get into Tiger King. That was one that I
actually haven't watched it.
Yeah, I doubt we're missing much.
No.
New York was a tough place to live during the pandemic. It was really tough. Like I was in Astoria, Queens, and it just felt like comparatively to other places where you could at least like go take a walk, it felt very treacherous in the early stages of like the first 6 months to like walk outside because like everything was so close. Right. That if you saw somebody, you would like panic and be like, that was like the wiping down grocery days. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you would go outside and you'd be like, am I too close to this person that's across the street from me? Like, am I going to get like infected? Right. Yeah. So New York was a very stressful place. Also, homes are a lot smaller in New York. So it felt a lot more contained than other people probably did in the US in terms of like general house size or general apartment size. So towards the end of that year, I was living with an ex at the time and my best friend and his now fiance, and they're getting married in May. I'm very excited for them. But and they met not long before the pandemic, and I got to live with them during that was actually kind of beautiful. I got to live with them during the beginning of their relationship. Yeah, shout out to Steve and Alex. You guys are amazing.
I can feel the joy from that, and I really like that because like just from like hearing from you and like how you've transversed from New York to LA, to back to here, where that authenticity was like I think you needed that. Like you like yearn for that, and I can just feel that, and just like I think that really messes with like a person's creativity, like not being and like having that goodness around, like seeing that.
Yeah. I think that also like I was so drained of that authenticity after LA that getting to like reconnect. So he was my college roommate or one of them, and getting to reconnect with him in that way and live with him again so many years later. And also like after the pandemic kind of tempered and people kind of had their hubs of people that you trusted to like get together with, the connections I had during that period felt so much stronger and more legitimate than a lot of my LA time with most of my people. But they were going to move back with his parents to Long Island where they lived to kind of figure out what was happening. And my ex was like, well, I guess we'll find a place in New York. And I was like, I have 4,000 records. You and I are never going to find an apartment in New York that fits just us and the records. It's not going to cost a fortune. And she eventually agreed. Moved to Portland on a whim. Literally just like never been. We visited 2 months before we moved. Thought it was pretty cool. Thought it was fine. Thought it was fine. Thought it was fine. Like, how are we supposed to make it that much of an assessment?
Portlanders feel the same way.
yeah, for sure. Moved here. Spent a year acclimating. Tried to find a spot for my store, which I moved here with the idea of I'm going to open my record store in Portland because that's the spot. I knew it in my heart. I was like, this is going to be. It's a music town. There's a lot of stores, which is proof of concept.
Yeah.
Also non-competitive in the sense that every store has different stock because most stores in town are used. Like mine is 95% used records. So what I have, other stores don't have, and vice versa for the most part, which means all these stores can coexist because record hunters will go find their favorites and they'll bounce between them when they want to go record shopping. So I was like, okay, proof of concept. They work here. I know how to open a good record store because I've been to so many for so many years that I know what I want. And I've had so many YouTube videos and conversations with people in the comments about what they want. I was like, I'm going to open a good store. I could do it. And I believed in myself. And May of 2022, I opened my store. It's crazy.
Okay. So before we get to more things about the store, I think this is a, perfect time for us to have a great commercial break. And we'll be right back.
Do you have an event coming up? A project that would be elevated by crisp visuals and clear audio? Look no further than the Backseat Critic Productions. Our email is bc.productions.pdx@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at bc.productions.pdx.
We're back. Oh, we're back. And this is why you have friends
Don't touch
You
me
got
like
a
that.
friend
Don't.
in me.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. The rest of the conversation will be in Randy Newman's voice. Yeah.
Fantastic.
You gotta work on
I'm
yours.
not going to do it.
That wasn't great.
I'm tapping out already.
All right.
You said something really interesting to me before we kind of get into the next flow. Is you said you had a ritual for music.
Mhm.
Now, before we start talking about your store, I think people would love to know, like, what is your ritual to listen to music with the vinyl experience? I'm very curious.
So it's not quite as much about my ritual as about the ritual. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Like I think there's like that wasn't intentionally a cool statement. It was
Turtle sacrifice to begin with.
Yes,
Okay.
you must wait. Not a turtle. I'm out of here. This is crazy. No, it's more about like the intentionality behind it. So like when you throw on a playlist or listen to music in the car or whatever, usually you are shuffling or you're not really paying full attention, and music has been relegated to background noise. But when you listen to a record, it can be background noise if you're like cooking or whatever, but ultimately you're putting it on because you chose that album to listen to. Like you went to your shelf and you said, oh, I want to listen to Simon and Garfunkel Bookends. This is what I want to hear right now. I'm in the mood for this vibe and only this vibe because I can't shuffle it. I can't change it after one song. I'm going to hear what this artist had to say for this album and listen to the whole thing front to back. And so much so that you have to actually flip it halfway through or a fourth through, depending on how many discs there are. And there's something really beautiful about actually taking the music and listening with genuine intention versus just having it be a part of the noise of the day to day.
I appreciate you saying that because I'm definitely in the rat race of like when something drops, I'm like, don't like this, skip. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, maybe skip. And it's that intentionality because I'm trying to think the last time I listened to an album from cover to cover, I think it was maybe Tim's. When Tim's dropped her album, I would say GNX.
Mm-hmm. That was short. That's not fair. That's too short.
Hey,
I love GNX. No, it was on my top 10 of the year for sure. Yeah.
I did skip through most of that Drake and Party album. I was like, skip. Nokia. Yeah.
I listened to the first song. I was like, the CN Tower. And I was like, I'm out.
Superman, Batman.
I'm out, dude. I'm so out. I was in Toronto this year for the first time. And my friend and I were in the car and she hadn't heard it. And I was like, you got to put this song on. And she was like, this is not it. I was like, correct. She's like, it sounds like an old man trying to do Take Care Again.
I know you've been hurt.
Oh, yikes. What's the last album you listened to front to back?
Front to back? Apostrophes Frank Zappa.
Nice. Wow. Challenging.
I enjoy it.
Zappa's an artist that I, as a record store owner, should be into. And I struggle. Really? I'm not a huge blues guy to begin with. So like experimental blues and stuff like that is definitely like harder for me to digest. And I think eventually I will be into it. But there's one Frank Zappa song that is not like anything else he's ever done. And it's one of the most beautiful, amazing songs I've ever heard.
Watermelon Easter Hay?
Watermelon Easter Hay.
I knew exactly where you're going with that.
That song there's something magical in that song that's like, it feels like it's a drug when you're listening to it.
The whole story arc, because it's part of the rock opera about the guy being like
Joe's Garage, right?
Yeah.
Rest of it, nonsense to me.
Oh, it's just like, basically, yeah. But it's like, he's being like taken by the government. He's like, hey, you can't play music, blah, blah. It's like the story was like a parallel to the Iranian Revolution.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I just heard that song and I was like,
yeah. And so Watermelon Easter Hay was just like Zappa just being like, kind of pouring it out.
Yeah.
Such a good song.
I wish he had more songs like that.
Oh.
I don't think there's anything else that's like that.
Not like that.
No.
Not like that.
It's a bummer. If all his stuff sounded like that, he'd be my favorite artist.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm listening. I'm not fronting everyone.
Yeah, no, I got into Zappa young.
Yeah.
So.
Did your parents like Zappa or like friends?
No.
How'd you discover Zappa?
I got into jazz.
Okay.
At like a really young age.
Yeah.
And was just like listening to stuff around on LimeWire and stuff like that. And just came across. I'm like,
you and I are not the same. I was downloading System of a Down. You were downloading Frank Zappa. We are very different people. But respect on both.
I mean,
respect
it's just
on
like,
both.
I think it was like Late Night Sensations was the first one I listened to.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And just totally dug it though.
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna have
So-
that phase. I think I keep saying to people in my 40s is when I'm
Yeah.
gonna like REM,
Okay.
and then in my 50s is when I like Frank Zappa.
Gotcha.
So I got some time.
You got some time to work it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Which brings me to ask you, in our story, you came here, you built a store, you built it off your own muscle. And what was it like getting the keys and freshly walking into your store for the very first time? What was that like?
Well, finding the space was a challenge. Finding the spot was like a Herculean task because I was like, oh, we're like on the heels of like a pandemic. Like it's still kind of chaotic and like it must be easy to get a space to lease. Like people are probably going to be super lenient. No, like every place I looked at was like minimum 5-year lease. And I was like, do you know what's happening in the world right now? Like who's doing this? And I saw all those places that I said no to still vacant as of like a couple months ago. And it's like, I wonder why,
Right.
You know, like I wonder why they're vacant. Greed. So yeah, it was crazy because I found spots I liked. There was a spot I actually really liked. I don't know if this one's open or not, but you know, on Division, Pine Street Biscuits, Pine State Biscuits,
It's
Street?
Pine Street Biscuits.
Pine Street Biscuits.
Okay. So right next to it, there's like a little patio outside, and then there's a storefront to the left of it. I was looking at that storefront, so I would share the patio with them, and weekends would have been popping off. It would have been crazy over there, but the rent was insane. It was like twice what I'm paying now after a few rent increases at this spot, and it was a 5-year lease minimum. And I was like, and it's a smaller space than I have now. And I was like, what is happening? So finding the space was tough. I looked at maybe 8 to 9 different spaces with like going down the rabbit hole and then couldn't come to terms, fell through. And then I found my space on Lombard, and Lombard, you know, is an interesting street. It's, I say that with so much love. No, I am so
Special.
I am so grateful for Lombard. My community out there is amazing. We're like the Barnacle on Kenton. Like, you know, like Kenton's super cool. I really admire, and I'm friends with Michael Speck, who owns Specs Records in Kenton. Like he's like the record store right there. He's like 2 minutes up the road from me. It just feels like such a different world. Like you just make a right, you go a couple blocks, and it's like super quaint and cute, and little cafes and like comic book shop and a record store. And it's like, it's very fun. And then you turn around the Lombard, it's like, it's like a horror movie. Yeah. But
fentanyl.
Yeah.
Drugs.
I do think that despite Lombard being up and coming, I would say, I think there is a cool community of places that are kind of popping up there, and places that are just like, it's becoming a little more accessible to hang out in. Like there's a spot called Tiny Bubble Room that's a really nice little bar up there that does great Cajun food, and I don't know. There's just something about helping to like bring some life to the area. So a destination for people to go enjoy and like relax and hang out. It feels really cool because Portland's full of spots like that in every corner. And I feel like Lombard doesn't have a lot of them. And I'm glad that I can be one, you know? So to answer your question that I totally ran from.
I love this.
Walking into the space for the first time, I actually made a YouTube video sitting in the empty space when I signed the lease. And I looked back at that maybe like a year ago, and I was like looking at how different the space looks now that it's like had so many iterations of the way it's looked. And it just feels like a decade has passed. It feels like I spent so much time in there. Cause I mean, I physically spend a lot of time in that room, but it was crazy to see it in its first iteration ready to open, like after like spending all the time getting all the fixtures made and like the walls set up and pricing everything for opening and like all that process, but like seeing it and standing there and be like, wow, this is a record shop and I built this. And the first version looked like ass. It was so bad. Literally the middle of the room had a folding table with like boxes on it as opposed to like proper shelving. And you can still see those photos on Google Photos because you can't get rid of them. Like there's no way to remove them. There's no way to remove them. And it looked horrible. I can't believe anyone came back to the store after that. I think where it's at now, it looks amazing. I'm super proud of the way the store looks and feels and the flow of it and the aesthetics and all the art on the walls. I think it looks great. But I just remember the feeling of opening the door on opening day and seeing a line of like 40 people standing out the lot, out onto Lombard Street, risking their lives on Lombard. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't go right.
Yeah, stay there.
There's a guy.
Fentanyl. I just remember being like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I felt the level of pride I felt seeing that was unmatched with anything I had done in my life up to that point. I was like, I built this out of nothing, and people are here to support it.
That's sick.
Thank you.
It really is. It's almost like the question I had setting up for another question about what's currently going to be going on very, very, very soon. But I think before I ask that question about the glorious anniversary, what about yourself?
So I was going to ask, like, when you were like shopping around like Portland for like locations, you brought up like there's a place down in Division, there's a place like looking for like 5-year leases.
Yeah.
Was there like a part of Portland that you were like looking like that was your first pick, like North Portland or?
It's a good question, and I was still learning Portland at the time, so there was so much of like not knowing what the pockets were. Like I knew, like when I first moved here, I knew like, oh, Division's cool, Mississippi's cool, Alberta's cool. Like Burnside's has a lot of stuff going on. Like I did like
Hey, just say what you gotta say.
There's a lot of great stuff on Burnside. But like
It's a cluster.
Yeah. Sounds like Lombard. No, I didn't really have a place in mind.
Okay.
But what I am extremely grateful for, and that something that I appreciate every single day of my life, is that I got a store location that's so close to my house. I'm 5-minute drive from the store. If I were on Division, it would have been like a 25-minute commute each way every day. And I mean, it's not horrible compared to LA standards. Like I trained for that, but oh man, it's so nice to be 5 minutes away. So no, I didn't have a spot. I thought Division would have been cool because I know it's like a really cool part of town. Everyone loves Division, and it would have done really well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that I chose the space based on the specs, like the size, the layout, and the terms.
Gotcha.
Rather than, I need it to be in this part of town. And the other aspect was when I opened the store, one of the main goals for me was to have a space for artists to perform. So I needed, at first I wanted like a full out stage section. Then when I realized that was not feasible based on every location I looked at, I was like, we could probably fit a band here. But I wanted to have the space to be able to put, first of all, like I don't like a claustrophobic record store, and there are plenty of them that exist that are great and they do well and people love them. But for me, I love having the space to move around, navigate, not feel like you're kind of being closed in by the bins and feeling like you can just like breathe a little bit. So I wanted a spacious spot. And as I learned in certain parts of town, that significantly raised your rents. Go figure. It's almost like it's a weird concept, right?
Square footage was that?
Yeah, square footage raises rents. Like it's like a weird formula.
Are those places still empty?
The places I looked at?
Oh, the place. Never mind.
They're still empty.
Yeah, a lot of them are still empty. Yeah. There was one in Buckman that is still empty, and I pass by it all the time. I'm like, should have gave me a better deal.
See, it's good to laugh at your enemies. Aha.
Yeah, enemies is strong, but definitely villains.
Why'd you go straight to enemies?
No, every place that I looked at, I will say this with 100% confidence and certainty. Every single spot I looked at for the store, I am grateful I did not sign the lease because I could not imagine the store being anywhere else than it is right now.
Oh, man.
You crying?
Huh?
Are you crying?
I just like I'll say this. I just like being a part of, because even on our last segment, thank you. In our last segment, we'll definitely talk more about like content and YouTube and things of that manner. But like, I really like when people are doing it and like they're themselves. But I feel like a lot of people do this like for the charades, and like I can feel the mileage and the years of like putting yourself out there, and it's just really good meeting those types of people because everyone else, there's like some gimmick, and I can just like feel your passion. I can just feel all that, and I'm just like, I'm inspired. I truly am, and like I'm just happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Like genuinely happy.
It is cool to do what you love, and for a long time, post acting, pre-store, I was not doing what I loved. I worked various marketing jobs that were like collecting a paycheck and navigating like the weird corporate world of like doing nothing for a paycheck and trying to like pretend you are doing something and be like, what does this company do? And like, why am I here? And why am I not fired? Like, just like that. I mean, that's most of corporate America. There's just people wandering around doing nothing, getting paid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't fulfilling, you know? And then you said you want to get to content later, but like I was always doing the YouTube, in conjunction with a full-time job. So I could never give my all to the music stuff because I had to spend 40 hours a week draining my soul at something that didn't matter to me at all. Are you from? Maybe I shouldn't shit talk this company.
Go for it.
Do you know Loot Crate?
Yeah,
it's a company. It's like a subscription box for like geek and gamer.
Yeah,
products.
Just send you random crap.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
and they were one of the biggest subscription boxes in America for a while.
Yeah,
maybe even in the world. But I worked there for 2 years and I did like growth marketing. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. I don't know what I did. Like, but I was doing growth marketing, and it was just a chaotic company. Like there was just so much internal strife and politics, and like, yeah. Like I will say this: the best way I can describe that company is that we have all these like special days every day. It's like National Girlfriend Day or whatever. There was like an Employee Appreciation Day.
Anniversaries.
Oh, anniversary. Right. Right. That's what it is. No. There was an Employee Appreciation Day that was like the nationally recognized holiday. Yeah. And they laid off 40% of the work staff on that day. That's the best anecdote I can say to like.
Damn. That's wild. That's so wild.
Yeah.
Damn.
That place was crazy. All for knickknacks in a box.
Right. I think they peaked in like 5 years and I haven't heard about them since.
I think they still exist.
The Animal Crossing release.
They're on Lombard if you turn right.
Yeah, they're right next to me on Lombard. Yeah, exactly.
One of my questions for you is when it comes to filling the store, have you ever had to fight to get some vinyls in there? Like really some blood, sweat, and tears?
Can you elaborate on that question? Did I fist fight anyone for records? Yes. No.
Actually, extrapolate.
No. Legally, I can't.
Okay.
A people's elbow.
Yeah. I give people the. I don't know any wrestling moves. Okay. I was about to say one. I was like, I don't have one. What do you mean? Like
bicep punch,
Falcon punch.
There we go. No, I was just it's my fun way of. What is it like to fill the store with records? Have you ever had a difficult record to find to get in there? You know, obviously, have you had to be suave and smooth, or, you know, have you had to rip some things out of people's hands?
Well, I will say that with used records, so here's my number one advice. If anyone's watching this and they're thinking about opening a record store, here's the number one piece of advice I can think of. Make sure that you have a strategy to continuously get good collections of used records, because for me, I'm at a point now where I'm lucky enough to have people trust me, recommend the store to their friends who might want to sell their records, and I get walk-ins all the time of people trying to sell their records, and sometimes it's absolute garbage, but oftentimes it's I mean that it's like, you know, it's somebody that's like found them at a Goodwill and like just like here you have this trash, like it's like, you know, it's like stuff that's just like beat up and like covers ripped and you're like you can't even tell what the record is, like that happens. But then you get some great stuff. Like the other day, like yesterday, this guy walked in who's a regular of the shop. He'd been coming in basically since around opening, like every couple months I'd see him, and he was just like, I'm selling my records. He's like, I want to sell them to you. And it was just maybe 100 records and it was all fire. It was like Weeknd, Drake, Travis Scott, like Frank Ocean official presses, like all kinds of crazy stuff that's great for the shop. And he just was like, I want you. And then I make an offer on it after I look him up and price him out. I will say it's so important to get good used records so you can constantly have turnover. We get a lot of compliments at our shop because we try to put out stuff all the time that feels exciting. A lot of shops I used to go to back in LA, and you know, you would go there every 6 months and you would be flipping through the records and be like, I've seen all these records. Like they don't like these all feel like they're just the same records. And that's how you lose regulars. That's how you don't gain loyalty. So you need to be able to, like, it's hard to compete with new records. New records are very expensive for even like the distribution. Like, for example, if I was going to buy Good Kid, Mad City and I wanted to sell it for like $32 in store, I probably paid like $25 for it, like wholesale. The margins are not there. So if you're plunking in all your money onto new inventory, unless you're a big store like Music Millennium that can justify it, you're going to do poorly. Like you just can't make enough money to keep the wheels moving without having good used stock, because the margins on used, even when you're paying well for them, which I think we do, because people continue to bring us stuff, it's still so much better, the margins, than trying to buy a new record. So you have to make sure you have good used records. And we got so lucky with some collections over the past few years that just sustained us for months and months, because there's just thousands of great records. We just got one from a guy who lived 5 minutes from the shop. He had 2,500 records in his basement, collecting only in the 90s and early 2000s, which is when everybody was dumping their vinyl. He was hoarding all of it. He collected everything from alt rock and rock to trip hop to downtempo to reggae to punk to R&B. And he had first pressings of all of these extremely sought after albums. Soundgarden, Biggie, Jay-Z, like Pearl Jam, Green Day, Weezer, all this stuff. And it cost a fortune, but I was like, this is the kind of collection that transforms a shop. You know, like we are going to eventually make a lot of money on this, and it's going to bring a ton of eyes onto us, because you never see those. Like a pressing from the 90s when they weren't making a lot of vinyl. Those are extremely desirable for certain records. Like he has a Biggie Ready to Die in the shrink with the original hype sticker from the release year.
Damn.
Like crazy stuff I've never seen.
That's bonkers.
And we are still in the process of processing it for like our anniversary. We're going to put out a bunch of it. Like it's so fun. It's like treasure hunting. You know what I mean?
That's gotta be exciting.
It's every day is exciting.
Well, you said the word of the day, anniversary, and you're coming up on a big milestone when it comes to starting a business. And like I was saying, off the muscle, like you're literally about to celebrate. What can I say?
3 years.
Could we say more than that? Because I feel like, do we have to give time for the thought? Because I know you were thinking about this. So this was like a dream finally manifested and like cemented.
Yeah. Every year that the anniversary comes around so far has been just one of the best days of my life, because it just continues to prove that my hard work has paid off. Like it's a tangible, period of time where all day the store is full of people that love and support what I'm doing. They want to support me. Like I feel the love from the community where people come to the shop because they like talking music with me. They like my vision and they want to like see me succeed. That feels that there's nothing better than that. Seeing like I came into this community knowing nobody, and now like people have said I'm their favorite record shop. There's 25 shops in Portland. Like it's such an honor to be able to be a part of people's routine as record collectors and like have them come to the shop and want to see me succeed. They want to buy records and they want to keep coming back. So the anniversary is like that tenfold. We had the past 2 years, we've had bands playing outside all day because we have a parking lot. And then, we're putting out crazy records inside all day. This year we're thinking about doing DJs outside during the day and then having a band perform at the end of the day inside. So we're kind of switching up a little bit, but yeah, I'm just so excited to celebrate the 3-year anniversary. And leading up to the 3-year anniversary, I'm kind of treating myself to a business trip where I'm going to Japan for the first time.
Damn it! Oh,
Yeah.
That was my question.
Yeah.
But I love this.
Yeah.
Speak more to that.
Okay. So Japan is in Asia, and
It's in this part of the globe.
it's not in this continent. It's just no. So
I get a map.
Yeah, I can just draw it. So it's like if that. So Japan is somewhere I've always wanted to go. I'm a nerd. I love video games. I love all the kind of stuff that like. There's so many like places to enjoy them in Japan, whether it's an arcade or like a store that specializes in that kind of like merchandise. There's all that stuff. I'm a huge foodie and I love Asian food across the board. Like Korean and Japanese food are like my favorite two cuisines by far. So that mixed with the fact that they have a huge music culture and there's dozens and dozens of record stores there.
Yeah.
I know lots of store owners who go there at least once a year, sometimes multiple times, to source records because they value things differently than us. Like you'll go there and like a record that I might have for 10, 15 bucks in my shop, they'll have for 60 and vice versa, because the cultures just look for different things sometimes. So somebody like me who knows what Portlanders are looking for, stuff that we can't find here very easily. I'm going to be going there, and I'm going for 13 days. I'm going to be digging constantly.
What are you looking for?
So, I mean, at the bare minimum, like a good deal, like something. I can get more specific, but like I'm not limiting myself to a specific genre because like I will be tearing through all of the stores like with a fine tooth comb to find. Because you have to factor in the yen is weak right now compared to the US dollar. So this is a good time to be buying stuff in general. But there's also the factor of having to ship it back and add those costs on. And then I have to make. and then it's actually affecting the shipping costs a lot recently, which is like been a huge thing to navigate as I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get these hundreds of records I'm planning on buying back. It's a whole nother nightmare, but it's it's more so making sure that there's two strategies to a record store that does used records, right? Because the main obvious one is you buy records that you can sell for higher, and that's obvious. That's just like business. But there's another strategy, which is sometimes you just have to buy cool shit that's going to get someone in the shop. Because I notice if I can like fishing line someone in with a really amazing record, even if I don't make much money on that record, they might come in and buy a bunch of other records too. Because once they're in, they go crazy.
Right.
So I'm also going to be looking for cool records that I know are going to get people to be like, what? How do you have that? And then they're going to come to the shop and then they're going to buy all the other stuff that I'll make a little more money on. So it's like, I will be looking for cool things that are just hard to find that I know are going to excite people. I can't blow all my budget on that because that's just kind of foolish. But I mean, we don't really get a lot of reggae. There's not a lot of world music in general. Like I personally love Brazilian music and you don't see a ton of it here in Portland. There are a couple stores that specialize and get really good like African music, but not a ton of that either. Like world music is something I really want to focus on finding over there, especially like Japanese city pop. A lot of people are really into that now, thanks to like the vaporwave to future funk to city pop like pipeline that's happened since 2013. So yeah, stuff like that is great. But then also I'd love to find like good indie rock and alt rock records that are just like things that have been there and sitting there that I can take here and I know I can sell here.
I think you might find some good Afro beats over there. I can see that being trying to find the words. I can see that being like valued over there very well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a big Fate person, and like I have the luxury of like running the page for more of them get inside of it, and I lose my delegation or I have to delegate and let them do stuff. Or like when we were messaging, I felt that bond. Yeah. Because I was like, yo, I'm going to Japan too.
I know.
Because it's just like all that hard work, and I really hope you have like stuff planned for fun.
Oh yeah,
as for well. Because I know records, it's I know it's a job, I know it's a a passion. I really hope you have like things planned for like just strictly fun.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, like I said, I travel to record shop and to eat. I have so many food places on my itinerary, like it's getting out of control. Yeah, so I'm super stoked to just kind of like eat my way through the country. And
what do you like? What are you wanting food there?
Like specifically?
Yeah.
So, man, I saw they have.
I butchered that question, by the way.
I got it though. Yeah. I got what you were saying. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of food do I want to eat?
There we go.
I got it.
First time interview.
Yeah. First, you're doing great. You're doing really, really good.
Thank you. Sweating profusely.
I just saw this dish that like words cannot describe. It's a white curry udon with like a potato foam.
Okay.
And it looks just majestic. It just looks so savory and so delicious. There's a ramen place that's known for their sardine based broth. Which sounds so good.
So specific.
It's so yeah. Yeah, you sound like that's something you would want for sure.
No, sardine base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it on. And like I also want to try the unique stuff. I saw a place that has grilled salamander. Like I'm the most adventurous eater. I don't love everything, but I will try everything, and I want to try everything. There's so much good sushi, of course. Like I want to try a few different omakase places that have like, you know, many courses that they will deliver to me that I will try. And it's pretty affordable comparatively to doing that in a place like Portland even. Like I think like if you were to get like a 22 course sushi place, here it would be like $250. In there, over there it's like $60. It's like so wildly inexpensive comparatively. Like I can treat myself. Also, my birthday is in the middle of the trip.
Hey.
April 24th.
Hey.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be so I'm treating it as it's a business trip, of course. As far as the IRS.
The IRS, it's a tax write-off.
It is. I will be record shopping the whole time, but your boy's gonna eat. It's a birthday trip.
Yeah.
I'm looking to do karaoke with some strangers in the Golden Guy district. Like I'm trying to go crazy, you know? So
there's this like one bar there, and then we'll get to our last commercial break and we'll wrap things up. There's this like, it's like muscle milk bar where these women are like super like buff.
It sounds like something out of Final Fantasy VII.
And you gotta arm wrestle them.
That also sounds like something out of Final Fantasy VII.
Exactly. And I'm gonna go there.
You're gonna arm wrestle these muscle mommies?
Yes,
these most ladies.
Yes, and if you lose, they hit you with an egg on your forehead.
They hit you with what?
An egg on your forehead because like they're like So I'm like, you know, it's an experience. But I'll say this: I really want to go there for the dessert and the culture because I know for me,
the dessert and the culture,
of course,
in that order.
Yes,
amazing.
Like, I really just want ice cream and
ice cream and temples.
Right.
Yes,
ice cream in the temple.
I think that's actually very doable. But I just want to say, man, like I'm just happy for you yet again because I was like, man, that was more of a sign. And let's just say when it comes to the 3-year anniversary and just even beyond, like, you know, I just want to say that you earned it. And man, that's gonna be a wild, you know, business trip.
Yeah, and I will give you all of my tips when I get back for sure.
I will definitely 100% ask.
Yeah.
But what I'm not gonna ask for, I don't know. That was a horrible transition. Commercial break. Welcome. We're back. And Matt, I have a question for you. And to kind of like round about the interview, I'm just curious. I've learned a lot about you. So what is the difference between Matt, the guy we see on YouTube and Instagram, versus Matt at home?
Matt at home? Like the real Matt?
Of course.
I'd like to think it's all the real Matt,
really?
But I have had multiple people in Portland, like people that I've gotten to know in Portland, tell me that they would rather be friends with the Matt they met in person than the Matt on YouTube. Which has kind of made me spiral and kind of make me... here's the thing, like, YouTube and I have had a very tumultuous relationship for a long time because I always thought YouTube was going to be my thing. And I'm realizing it's the store and whatever comes from that. That's my thing. It was guiding me to that. But for a long time, I was at such odds with my like mental health when it came to views and comments and like, you know, trying to get the videos to like blow up and then working so hard on a video and putting it out and having it just do like nothing. And it's a brutal feeling. It's especially years and years of it. So I will say the Matt on YouTube now feels almost like a husk of what it used to be. And it's not necessarily intentional. It's just kind of like the end result of grinding it out alone for a long time. Because I started the channel with my dear friend Sandy, and the channel started as Damn It Sandy. That's what it was called. It was like, she was like, you should do a show where like I'm ditzy and you like teach me about music and I'm always saying dumb stuff and you're like, damn it, Sandy. And like, that's how it started. And that's how it built an audience. People were like, we love this dynamic. You guys are fun. So we did that for a while. She's an actress. She kind of got busy. She booked a show called Queen of the South that she had a big role on, and she was kind of doing that. So I took the channel over, changed it to Too Many Records. And for a year and a half, a good friend of mine, Chris, he helped me. He was like a video editor by trade. So he shot the videos, edited them, did graphics, and like he took all of the work off my plate that was not ideating, hosting, promoting, doing social, like all the things I like to do. And those videos looked great. And I feel like I was like super engaging and fun. And I think that's how I built my audience. And then Chris was like, we're not really making the money I need to do this full time. So I'm going to go back to my gig and you got this. So I continued doing Too Many Records alone for years. And I feel like I said, doing it alongside my full-time job, having to do everything from shoot it, which I did not have proficiency in doing. My videos still look like crap. I use my iPhone and no external mic. I'm like, I do it so lazily. I just like, at this point, I don't have the team that I want to make YouTube the thing. So I feel like I put out videos when I have an idea of something I want to do, and it does how it does. And I've stopped caring really about like the numbers, which feels freeing in a way because I was caring so much back in like 2016, 17, 18. I was like obsessed with it. So for me, the YouTube is an extension of the store, and the Instagram I have more fun with because that is directly the store for the most part. It's showing like little bits happening at the store. I get to like show cool records we get in, and it definitely feels like, I think the Instagram version of me is pretty akin to who I am. And I think if you want the real me, you got to come to the store and chat with me. And I think that's, unless I'm like really stressed, like with a collection that's like, I'm trying to process other people coming in and trying to talk to me. And I'm like, I got to get this done.
Don't bother him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. I don't know if I have the exact answer, but I do think that you can watch me change on YouTube over the years. And I don't know if it's necessarily worse. I think I'm still engaging and I still have interesting things to talk about. I just feel like because the quality has decreased on like a visual and audio level, I think it's harder to like see the real me. I think like I feel like a little overwhelmed with YouTube. I still enjoy it, but it's the store is my focus. And I think that's the truest me. The me at home and the me at the store are very similar. You know what I mean? It's like going to the store doesn't feel like work. It's a joy to go every day. And it's not always easy. It's a lot of hard work, but it feels very rewarding. Unlike YouTube, which for a long time felt like I was like putting in all this work and then getting like smacked back down the hill, like try again. And like for years it felt like that, you know? But this feels like I'm actually building something cool.
When you started the YouTube channel, that was when you were acting, right?
Yeah. I had basically just stopped acting on like a serious level. Like I really stopped soliciting for audition or submitting for auditions. I stopped really working on like projects. People were like, do you want to do this short film? I was really just like, I'm going to focus on this YouTube endeavor.
Okay. What made you want to do like the records? Or was that just like what your passion was at the time?
It was Sandy's idea. She was like, you are encyclopedic about music. She was like, you need to share this with people. Like I will like, we used to do a segment called Random Picks that people loved. And it's hard to do when you're by yourself and not, you don't have a co-host anymore. People are like, when's Random Picks coming back? I'm like, who am I doing it with? We actually just restarted a segment now that's like a spiritual successor to it. And I'll explain that in a second. But Random Picks was she would go to my collection and pull a record out of the shelf. And I would explain to her why that record's awesome. And I didn't know what it was. And I have thousands of records. So it's like, she was like, you know everything about all of these albums. And like, you need to like share this knowledge with people. It's so interesting. And we did that segment for a while. Now we have a segment that we started called Vinyl Intervention, where I have someone come over. And it's been my friend Goose, who was my store manager for a long time. Yeah. He recently got a full-time audio engineering gig. So he's currently doing that. And I'm really happy for him. But I miss him a lot. Like he was so integral to the store for so long. So that's been a transition. But he comes over to my place and he pulls records out randomly and I have to convince him why I keep it. So Vinyl Intervention. And if I can't convince him, I have to sell it in the store the next day.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I was going to actually ask earlier, but like, what do you decide like what you want to keep versus what you want to sell? And then like, do you keep stuff kind of like in the back and then just cycle that out just to keep people like coming in?
For sure. Okay. I have started to bring a lot of stuff from my personal collection in because it's cool to have like things that you wouldn't normally see in a record store necessarily in the shop. Even people just to comment on. Just like, wow, like what? Like how do you have this? I'm like, well, it's mine, but it's for sale. It could be yours. it's an interesting process because I'm also bringing stuff back all the time. Like I'll like build like a bin of stuff that I want to take home for my own collection. I try not to take too much because obviously I have overhead and bills to pay, but I always end up bringing a box in and then bringing a box back. So it's kind of like a water
revolving door
churning in like a little like, ecosystem. But it's interesting to bring stuff from my collection because I think there's a lot of dopamine in record collecting in the process of acquiring records. And like the first time you see it at a store and buying it, bringing it to your collection, listening for the first time, less dopamine in having it in your shelf. Like that's, it's like, it's cool to have it, but you don't get all those touch points. So like for me, I find a lot of validity in cycling out records to be able to get new ones in. Yeah. And there's a lot of great records in the back that I like just like trickle out as needed. Like sometimes I want to wait for them to go up in price because if I bought them at $35 and it's currently selling for $35, I'm like, maybe wait till it goes to $50, $60 because things sometimes go up, sometimes go down. Gotcha. They're unfortunately kind of like stocks, and people hate to say that. Like if you go on like Reddit, like stop treating it like an investment. I'm like, well, it legitimately is an investment. Like, I'm sorry, you can't fight that. Right. Some records plummet, some shoot up, and you really have no idea. I'm pretty good at it at this point. I'm a professional, but it is interesting to see stuff that you're like take a chance on. You're like, oh, I bet this is going to shoot up in price, and then it just tanks, and you're like, what happened? Like, why is this half the price I paid for it a year later? So it's interesting to kind of cycle things in and out and kind of see how to color the store in that way.
Okay.
Which brings me to one of my final questions is, how do you deal with content fatigue and burnout?
Well, with YouTube, I used to put out at least a video every week. Not so much anymore. I sometimes do, but like I'll sometimes get on a hot streak where I'll do like 3 or 4 videos in a row and I'm like, yeah, you got this. You're doing great. And then I'll just get busy with the store and not go a month without a video, and YouTube algorithm is like, fuck you. They're like, you can't do that. We had an agreement. Every day you put out content or we're going to bury you and we're never going to show your videos. And that's kind of how it works. So content fatigue on YouTube it's also tough that I have close to 600 videos on there. Like sometimes you just kind of run out of ideas and you see channels rehash the same videos over and over again. And you're just like, I don't want to do that. It feels like there's certain channels I'm not going to name that literally just have done the same video dozens of times. And I'm just like, who's watching this? Like who's like, this is great. Let's see this again. Top 5 turntables to buy. Like, let's watch this for the 5th fucking time. Like, I don't know. For me, I really want to like make sure when I put something out, it's relevant and it's fresh and it's interesting, and it's interesting to me and hopefully the viewer. Yeah. Instagram, there's an endless array of content because there's always new records coming in. So I'm always able to do a flip video showing this is what's in. I'm always able to show what's spinning. Like the content feels very natural based on what I do day to day. So I wouldn't say there's a content fatigue there. It's kind of like an endless font, which is cool.
So, anyway. Andrew, I love you in so many ways you don't even know. Anywho,
that was a long pause that you just stared at me. What do you expect me to do?
Look here. Anywho, well, when it comes to just in general, when it comes to just your career, when we talk about success, like how do you define that when it comes to YouTube, the record store, just the forward mobility? Like, how would you determine that?
What would I define success as?
Yes.
For me or in general?
Just in general, when it comes to all the things that you have your hands in.
So success, I think, is, life is never going to be perfect, right? Like everybody always has things that they're going to be like, oh, like I wish this was this way. But if you can work a day and look back at that day and be like, I'm proud of what I did today, regardless of the money that comes from it, as long as you're able to find a way to support yourself and do what you love. I know it sounds kind of generic, but that's success. Like if I made, $500,000 a year and I didn't love what I did, that would be a type of success, but it wouldn't be the kind of success that I think brings lasting joy. I think it's the kind of success that kind of like will eventually you look back and be like, what have I done? Like, what have I done with my life? What have I done to like day in and day out to like make all that money? Like, did I really find the joy and the man hours to do it? For me, I am proud that I can employ 2 people that I love to work with, that I've built a place for people in the community to be able to perform, for people to come and relax and enjoy music, to help build their record collection. And I love that I get to go every day to a place that I've built and be like, all right, what's the day going to bring? Like, what records am I going to find in the back? Who's going to walk in with what regulars are going to come by I get to chat with? Like, I feel like I have achieved a level of success that I could have never dreamed of, just from that level of like loving what I do.
Hear that, Gary V? He's doing it. He loves it.
He wants me to do more content, probably.
Probably. He probably yell at you.
Yeah. Sorry, Gary.
Well, one of the last things that I actually want to challenge you with before we get out of here, because you said that we could do this, and I think this would be the most funnest thing that we could do, because this has never been done on the Play No Games podcast before. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
You was talking some real shit. I want to see if you gonna put it on.
I gotta get caught up.
I'm gonna see if you gonna put it on film.
Okay.
How do you feel about that new?
Well, I'm gonna say I didn't watch it. I only read like
No, that's okay.
bullet points.
That's okay.
Okay.
You said a very hot take.
Oh, we're talking about Zelda.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So
I can't believe this is gonna be immortalized, but all right. One of my friend is getting married.
Yeah.
The one I told you about that I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
He's a huge gamer too.
Yeah.
Every time Breath of the Wild comes up and I'm in the room, he looks at me and he's the sweetest guy. He's so tolerant. He's so patient. He looks at me and goes, I literally can't do this. He's like, I'm going to get sick to it. I can't talk about this with you. He's like, I can't do it. He gets like so upset. So you want to talk about Zelda specifically?
Sure. Yeah, I like this.
All right. Well, first off, I think it's messed up that FromSoft is doing an exclusive deal with just the Switch too, because like there's so many FromSoft fans of Elden Ring and Bloodborne and all those games.
Wait, what are they releasing on Switch?
An exclusive new game from FromSoft that's only on the Switch, which seems insane because their entire fan base exists off Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, it's a crazy thing to do. But shout out to Elden Ring, best game ever. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a bad game. I grew up on Zelda. Like, I used to play the NES one with my mom. She was better than me. She figured out how to beat Ganon with the silver sword. I couldn't figure it out. I was 5. Good work, Mom. And I grew up, Ocarina of Time was my favorite game forever. Like I played all the Game Boy games, Twilight Princess. Ooh. Like, I love Zelda. It's in my blood. And when I was like, oh, they're doing an open world Zelda game, I'm like, this is going to be the best game ever made. Then I played it. And it's this big open world that you can navigate however you want. You can climb anything. You can glide around it. And I'm like, but what do you do? Like, what is there to actually do in this world? Like, there's like 4 enemy types, and then they change the color of them. And that's the entire game. You get these weapons and they just break on you. So you don't want to use.
I do hate that.
You don't want to use the weapons that you find that you like because you don't want
them break.
Like, I'm like an RPG player who hoards all the best like potions. So I'm like, I don't want to use my mega elixirs until I need to. Like, and then you beat the game and you never use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like it's so soulless. I didn't think the story was that good. I thought that the Divine Beast puzzles were aggravating and not fun. Like the dungeons in Ocarina of Time were so awesome. And the Divine Beasts were just like these twist the room puzzles that drove me crazy. And then you get to the boss and the bosses weren't even that fun or interesting. They were all like the same version of the same thing, basically. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like they missed the mark on an open world Zelda game. They lost what I loved about Zelda. Yeah. And instead they were like, there's just more, but less. Like, you're just running in a field. There's nothing happening for like 30 minutes. And it starts raining and you're like, oh, it's raining now. I don't know, man. I just like the fact that everyone is blindly like, it's the best Zelda game ever. I'm like, nah. And then they made it. Then they did a sequel. They're like, guess what? Same map again, but now you can build ships and things. And it's
Gundams!
Like, yeah, it's like, why is it the same map? Why do we do this again? I don't know. For me, an open world Zelda game seems incredible on paper. And I just think they've, for me, missed the mark completely. I didn't beat it. I beat every Zelda game, and I didn't beat it because I got so bored halfway through.
Damn.
I was like,
you should just run straight to the final boss. Cause
you can, but
it's super easy.
But then you can't beat him because you don't have any of the like hearts or like the Master Sword or anything. You know, like
He's easy.
Yeah, just soft.
he's easy. Great. If the final boss of the game is easy, you can beat it from the start. It's a flawed game.
I'm not arguing with him.
My points are almost impossible to refute. The music's dope.
Okay.
I'll listen to the soundtrack instead.
So
I think Tears of the Kingdom was better.
Tears of the Kingdom,
and they should have
Tears of the Kingdom was definitely better. It was definitely better. So Tay's not here, but we usually do this thing called shot clock, and we do like a quick this or that. And I'm just curious because we're a bunch of gamers, and since we're calling out Nintendo, $500 for a system. Who are you? We're not $500 for Mario Kart. That's unacceptable. So we're gonna go old school.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah.
To close this out, if you had to choose this console for the rest of your walking of days between a Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, or a GameCube, what would you choose?
Well, I never had a Super Nintendo. I've played a lot of the games on like emulator. Come at me, cops.
FBI.
It's illegal, I guess.
No.
But I mean, Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time. Yeah, you wouldn't steal it. You wouldn't download a car. Yeah, of course.
Creepy.
Yeah, no, it's like the commercial. It's a thing. It's a real thing. Yeah,
What a mugging old lady.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so I had N64. I had GameCube. I loved both of them. I feel like my gut says N64.
Okay.
And it's because like it's so hard, but like I could probably replay Banjo-Kazooie for the rest of my life and be very happy. It's a perfect game. And I think it's better than any game on GameCube. It's a perfect platformer.
Wow.
It's charming. It's fun. It's difficult. Collectibles. Great soundtrack. Shout out to Grant Kirkhope, the legend. Yeah, I don't know. And like N64, like I love Mario Kart 64. It's a classic. GoldenEye.
Awesome friendship.
Mario 64. Like there's so many games that are so expansive and fun and hold up. I mean, GameCube has those too, but they just feel like a lot of them feel like just like overly polished versions of like better playing versions of like of N64 games, but not necessarily the same amount of soul and heart. Like N64 was a game changer, pun intended. Like it was like going from a Genesis to an N64 as a kid shattered my brain. Like I couldn't even fathom how I could play a game like Mario 64 after playing Toe Jam and Earl. Like,
oh man,
I love.
Oh man,
I love Toe Jam and Earl. Yeah, so I think my answer might be N64. However, if you had said PlayStation, I would pick PlayStation.
That's. I was one of those posers because I couldn't get one. I was like, I don't want a PlayStation or Xbox. Those games are lame. I have a PlayStation.
Yeah. PS1, the best RPGs ever.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have.
I'm good.
Matt, I'm not going to lie. I need to come to the store. Need to come to the store.
You both need to come to the store.
I need to come to the store.
Do neither of you guys have record players, right?
I do not.
I don't actually.
Tay does.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. I just want to say thank you so much for your time, energy, and effort.
This was awesome.
Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Lombard pricing records. 1854 Lombard, baby. Let's go. No, I'm on YouTube at Too Many Records, Instagram Too Many Records _, TikTok at Too Many Records. You can basically, if you search Too Many Records, throw a stone at a search result. It's probably me.
Hey, you heard it from the hometown hero. If you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe. We're giving you the most authentic interviews because we're not interviewers, we're conversationalists.
Now you say it.
Hey, I'm back. I'm Cartier Rob.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Matt Kessler.
We'll talk to you soon.